The Great Wall board game is an asymmetric area control worker placement game for 1 to 5 players. It plays competitively, it plays cooperatively. Well, even when you play it as a competitive game, it still has a little bit of cooperative aspects. This game has a wonderful amount of theme about the defense of the Great Wall from the Mongol Hordes. But is this going to be a game for you and your game group? Well, come on back after the break for a quick overview of exactly what the Great Wall board game is. Hey everybody, welcome to Off the Shelf Board Game Reviews. This is a YouTube channel dedicated to the tabletop gaming hobby, and this video is part of a video series looking at the game of the Great Wall. Now, the Great Wall is a 1 to 5 player game. In this video, I'm going to give you a quick overview of just exactly what the game is. Now, if you have any comments or questions, make sure you leave them down in the YouTube comments down below. I'll do my best to get to them as quickly as I can. You can also feel free to email me at Off the Shelf Board Game Reviews. That is otsbgr@gmail.com. Do my best to answer emails as quickly as I can. If you enjoy the content I put out there, and you want to help support the channel, think about tossing $1 in the tip jar over on Patreon. Patreon.com/OTSBGR. This channel is 100% sponsor free and no Kickstarters, no gimmicks. So your generous donations of just $1 in tip jar is a great way to say thanks and also help keep the content coming out there growing strong. If you enjoy this video series, click that like button, click that subscribe button, because your likes and your subscriptions definitely do matter for the YouTube analytics. Now that's enough of that. Let's go and look at the Great Wall board game. Now, the Great Wall board game is an area control game, an area majority game. It's a set collection game. It's a game that really does blend in with its theme very, very well. But at the start of the game, the very first thing we need to do is, before we set up the game or even get into the game, the first thing every one of the players needs to do is get their general and get their advisors. Now, this game is extremely asymmetric. I mean, that is one of the great hallmarks of what this game, what is so great and adds to the replay variety of the game. Because every one of the generals plays differently. They have their own strengths, they come with their own resources, and they're all going to come with their own advisors. We're going to mix up the advisors, we're going to mix up the generals, and that's going to be the clan leader for our army that's doing its best, our faction's best, to protect the Great Wall from the invading Mongol hordes, which want to do nothing more except to pile up on the track, take out our Great Wall, cause us great shame, and I do mean great shame, as we lose face among the emperor and we lose control of the Great Wall, and the Great Wall crumbles with our dreams of victory. Now, like I said, the Great Wall is a worker placement game, but there's so much more to the game here. I'm just going to explain to you how the game plays out over a year, because this game is going to play out over multiple years. If you're playing a 3-player game, it's going to play out over 6 years, but if you're playing a 4 or 5-player game, the amount of years are going to change, and we're going to use the other side of the game board here to kind of control the slightly different outlook of the gameplay. But the basic idea is every single year is going to start in the spring. Of course, I'm ignoring the first round because the first round does start in the fall, but if you want all those extra details, check out my full tutorial video or my playthrough. But the basic flow for a full year is going to start off in the spring, and during the spring, that's when the new Mongol hordes are going to come out there. And these Mongol hordes are going to come out based on the card that is next in line. So, example, could be the next Mongol horde that's going to come out, but it's going to attack this section of the Great Wall based on that card right here, and then it's going to come into the line, and now we know that these are the hordes going to start attacking our Great Wall. The amount of hordes that come out every single round is going to be based on just how many years we have gone down the track, because as the more years come out, the more Mongol hordes that are going to attack us. And if these Mongol hordes get way too crowded, you guessed it, that shame is going to start affecting us. Remember, shame is worth negative victory points. After we go through the spring, we're going to move into the summer. During the summertime, the players are going to discard their command cards that they played on the prior round. Here's the trick, and here's one of the cool mechanics about this game. All of your actions that we're going to do during the fall are going to be based on your command cards. It's going to be based on the command cards that are still left in your hand. Well, every time you play a command card, it's going to go over to a track, it's going to activate, it's going to do some various things, but during the summer, it's going to go to a discard pile. Now we get to one of our very first cool decisions that are involved in the game of the Great Wall. When we come to the summertime, you individually must decide if you want to take back your command cards, making sure you have access to all of your commands, or leave your command cards in the times and the woes of fate, because if you leave them in that discard pile, they're going to be worth honor. Honor is the victory points, because as we gain honor going up this honor track, we're going to gain victory points, whereas the most amount of honor is going to be the grand winner of the game. That's one thing I haven't covered, is how to win the game is by getting the most honor. We're going to get honor from destroying hordes. We're going to get honor from building up the Great Wall. We're going to get honor from these artifacts, but I'm getting ahead of myself because we're still stuck in summer. And during the summertime, we got to make these decisions. And part of these decisions is the income that we're going to get also during the summertime based on the overseers we have. And we're going to level up our overseers during the fall. And I keep mentioning fall, so this is a good time to start talking about exactly what happens in fall. Because during the fall time, this is when all the players are going to look at the available command cards that they have. All of our players are going to place their command cards face down. Once all of our players have our command cards laid out, then we're going to reveal all of our command cards, and then the command cards are going to activate. But here's the trick. They're going to activate in the order of the T track right here. So the green player gets to decide if they want their command card to activate first, second, or third. And then the blue player gets to see if they want their card to activate in the remaining slot among the two after green's picked their slot. So in this example, let's say green says, I want my card to go second. They would simply place their card over here on the track under the number 2 slot. Now blue needs to figure out if they want their card to go first or if they want it to go third. They're going to decide that they want their card to go third. And then poor old red over here is stuck with their card that can only go first. And boy, oh boy, we got lots of betrayal going on. But hey, that's how we win the Great Wall. By betraying our opponents, working sneakily behind their backs while in front of them, pretending that we're being cooperative. Because remember, we must cooperatively stop these hordes. But working behind our opponent's backs, we're going to stab them in the back because that's how we get extra victory points. Watching that Great Wall by garnering the favor of the Emperor. It's not all about betrayal though, because sometimes we can play cards that allow us to do attack orders. Sometimes we'll play cards that'll have our clerks working harder. And sometimes we'll concentrate on our economy because again, this is a worker placement game. Part of our economy is sending our workers out to various different locations to go ahead and give us resources. I'll cover that in just a minute. Let's go ahead and finish how these command cards work because that's one of the interesting second thing beyond gaining honor for them, but that's also how they work out. Because the vast majority of these command cards are going to do things for you, but they're also going to do things for your opponent. Because every time we have one of these command cards, we're going to resolve these cards one after the other, one by one, depending on that T order and depending on what we did earlier when we laid out our command cards. Let's go ahead and take the Monkey Clan here, and let's say the Monkey Clan is resolving their card. They decide to play the Work Harder card, which allows them to move all their clerks to various different locations. Now, this is the part of the worker placement game you're fully familiar with, where we place our workers out at various different locations. The locations we go to are going to give us various different resources, and everything's going to be wonderful for us. Wait, it's not going to be that wonderful. You'll see exactly why in just a second. The next part of this command card, though, is going to have a section that says Other Players, which basically means that all the other players now get actions based on the worker placement command card that you played out on the table. So in this example, the Work Harder card, now our opponents get to start putting out some of their workers, their clerks, to go out there and do various different things. And again, this is also going to happen in the T order based on the command cards that are played. So in this example, since we're playing blue's command card, that means now we're going to activate the other players in T order. So green gets to put out a worker at a location. They're workers, clerks. They're called clerks in the game, but it's a worker placement game. So for me, they're definitely workers. So green will also put out their other worker, but here's the trick. You cannot put out both your workers in the same location because the command card doesn't let you do so. And then finally, the red player gets to do the same thing, placing their worker out there, possibly getting various different benefits. Now we get to go back to the rest of the command card, though. Now we're going to finish the bottom of the command card. It says for each attack order card that happened to be on the command row. Wait a second. We had an attack order card. Wahahaha. Things are going to get better because this is a synergy of these cards. But looking at the fact that we played an attack order card, something else is going to happen. But now that we've resolved the command card, now we get to resolve the results of all these different locations with all these clerks that we have out there. Here's the interesting thing about resolving these locations. Locations are only going to resolve when that location is completely filled up with clerks at every one of those locations. So this location right here allows us to gather wood. It's not going to happen because it's not filled up. This location right over here that allows us to gain stone, it is going to happen because guess what? It is currently filled up. This location with the gold, not going to happen. The location with the chi is not going to happen. And you're going to see that all these different locations may or may not activate depending if they're red sections or if they happen to be green sections. And not only that, the extra really cool thing that I haven't mentioned. Remember those shame tokens I mentioned earlier? Oh, those shame tokens, they're going to haunt you if you don't play smart. Because if you decide that you want to be greedy and be the only person to go to that location, shame on you, because your greed has shown your dark, horrible ways, and being the only person going to that location means that you, guessed it, you're going to gain a shame token. And these shame tokens are worth negative victory points at the end of the game. But having resolved that, and if we need to have any other full locations, these full locations are going to resolve in T order. Players are going to get their resources, and we're going to use those resources to start doing some really cool things. Many cool things, including building up further layers of the wall, or the next really cool thing, creating our armies that we can use to go out there and attack these various different Mongol hordes that are doing their best to take down our wall. And if we can defeat them before they take down our wall, then we will gain victory points and avoid the shame of having these horrible Mongol hordes attacking us, because we will send out our units, attack them, gain resources, gain victory points, and defeat the Mongol hordes before they tear down the Great Wall itself. After the fall phase, we're going to move into the winter phase. And of course, fall does not end until all the command cards that were played by all of our players are going to be resolved. But after that happens, we're going to move into the winter phase. During the winter phase, any of these Mongol hordes that are not defeated are going to add up their total strength. If their total strength is greater than the total strength of our wall plus our barricades, it's going to tear through, and we're going to suffer the shame of not taking back the Mongol hordes. But if our wall is strong enough to stop the Mongol hordes from attacking us, we're going to be okay, and we're going to see if we're going to finish the game. The game is going to come to an end if there's a certain amount of walls fully built up based on the player count, the shame pool is completely empty, or if we reach the final year, then we're going to add up all our victory points based on the hordes we defeated, the sections of the wall we built up, any special abilities we have, our command cards, our tactic cards, or our generals, or how well we do and manage to get the resources needed to meet the requirements for every one of these artifacts. After that, players add up all their victory points. Whoever has the most amount of victory points is be the grand winner of the Great Wall. Now, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed this video series. If you have any comments or questions, make sure you leave them down in the YouTube comments down below. I'll make sure to get to them as quickly as I can. You can also feel free to email me at off-the-shelf board game reviews. That is otsbgr@gmail.com. I'll do my best to answer your questions as quickly as I can. If you enjoy these videos and you enjoy the content I put out there, think about supporting the channel on Patreon. Patreon.com/otsbgr. Just $1 in the tip jar is a great way to say thanks. Like I said, there's no gimmicks, no games, no Kickstarters. All the content you see comes out of my own pocketbook. It means I'm not beholden to anybody to tell me how to do my channel, but it also means that I do greatly appreciate your donations. Just again, $1 in the tip jar is a great way to say thanks and help keep the content coming out there. If you like this video, if you enjoy this video series, click that like button, click that subscribe button, because that definitely matters to the YouTube analytics. And thanks for watching.